Shalom and welcome to Simchat Yisrael. In a Jewish marriage, it's traditional for the bride and the groom to obtain a document called a Ketubah. A Ketubah is a special Jewish marriage contract that details the obligations that a husband and wife have towards each other. They're beautiful works of art that the bride and groom sign during their wedding ceremony. What's not so beautiful is the actual language of the contract. The language is very legal and not very egalitarian. The wording states, "Ha'isha niknet." That means that the woman is acquired by the man. That's a language of business, not romance. This sort of thing makes us cringe when we hear it today. The man acquires the woman. She belongs to him like a piece of property that he owns and controls. Is this what's happening under the huppah? When the bride circles her husband 7 times, is he just acquiring her like a pair of shoes? How do we wrap our minds around this? Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel down below. The answer is in this week's Parashat, in the story of the first married couple, Adam and Eve. Strangely enough, the story of the first romance doesn't begin in a very romantic way. God sees that it's not good for Adam to be alone, and he decides to make a partner for him. You would think this is the point where God would create Eve. But instead, first, there's this almost comical scenario. God parades all the animals before Adam in what seems like a bizarre dating game. Here comes the hippopotamus, the flamingo, the kangaroo, and God is like, "So, you see anything you like?" And Adam's like, "Not really." The world would be a very different place if Adam had just settled for a giraffe. But after the charade is over, God takes a rib from Adam's side and creates Eve, and she's completely different from all the other creatures. We get this strange little aside in the story, where the narration breaks and we hear from Adam himself. He says, "This one, at last, is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh." What made Eve different from all the other creatures that God showed to Adam? The answer is simple. Those other animals were never a part of him. They were all fundamentally foreign to him and therefore could never be a good mate. Eve was different. Eve came from him. When Adam sees her, he recognizes that she is the missing piece of him, the part of him that was lost, but now God is giving her back to him. Through his union with Eve, Adam becomes whole and complete again. It's all about that connection, that desire all people have to be complete. And this is where I think we misunderstand the concept of acquisition in regards to marriage. Because when you think about it, all acquisition is an attempt to complete ourselves. Let me give you an example. A good friend of mine struggles with depression, and one of the ways she treats it is to go and buy things when she's feeling down. So she goes to the mall and buys a new purse or some new clothes, and it always makes her feel better, for a little while. But inevitably, whatever chemicals she released by acquiring a new thing eventually fade, and she's back to feeling depressed again. Her mistake is that when we try to complete ourselves by acquiring things, we fail. Because those things were never a part of us, and they can never make us whole. But the scriptures tell us about a different kind of acquisition. An acquisition not of things, but of relationships. In the books of Galatians and 1 Corinthians, Paul tells us that we ourselves have been acquired. He tells us that Yeshua bought us at a price. Now that's the language of business, but what Yeshua did had nothing to do with ownership. Yeshua didn't buy us so that he could own us. He acquired us so that we could become complete. Because of our sin, because of all the things that happened here in Parashat Bereshit, we were separated from the love of God. But when Yeshua bought us, he reacquired us back for God. By acquiring us, Yeshua gave back the part of us that we had lost so that we could become complete again. This is the kind of acquisition that the Ketubah speaks of. This acquisition isn't about ownership. It's about completion. The things that really complete you aren't things that you can own. When we sign the Ketubah, I don't own my wife. She completes me and makes me whole again. I'm not acquiring an object. I'm reacquiring the part of me that I had lost and that God, in his great love, has given back to me. Shalom and thanks for watching. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe. And don't forget to visit simchatyisrael.org to learn more.